In 1978, a U.S. Navy warship limped into port with its sonar dome shredded by massive claw marks.
That was taken from the sonar dome of this ship. In many of these cuts were found teeth.
In the 2016, Arctic waters pulsed with a mechanical ping that made every animal vanish. And right now, something is singing at 52 hertz in the Pacific, a frequency no known whale can produce. These aren't conspiracy theories. They're official sonar recordings that scientists can't explain. From creatures moving at impossible speeds to sounds that shut down military equipment, here are 17 times sonar caught something that wasn't supposed to exist. Number 17. Alien-looking creature. They dropped the ROV into the deep on November 12, 2013, right off the east coast of Africa, nearly 4,000 feet down. Lights flicked on, sonar scanned, and then the screen lit up with something that made the crew go silent. It wasn't just strange, it was straight up beautiful. A translucent creature appeared, glowing and twisting in slow motion, like a jellyfish mixed with a lava lamp. One moment, it was stretched out. The next, it ballooned and flickered like a sci-fi hallucination. Viewers called it alien-looking. But here's the twist. It wasn't alien, though it took 3 marine biologists and 2 AI systems to confirm that. The creature was so bizarre that human experts needed machine verification. The sonar didn't lie. That shape, that flicker, that pulse, it all checked out in the AI's comparison models. It confirmed the ID with a match rate over 98%, that it was a ctenophore or comb jellyfish. But if creatures this alien-looking are common in our oceans, what else is down there that we've been calling normal? And if that glimpse of the impossible got your attention, hit subscribe now, because what's coming next makes a glowing jelly look downright ordinary. Number 16. Loch Ness's vanishing giant.
It's on everybody's top 5 list of legendary creatures, the Loch Ness Monster. Sightings date back to the 6th century. And just when you think the creature and the legend may have died down, some new eyewitness accounts pop up to remind you the story is still very much alive.
December 1954. The fishing boat. Rival 3 was alone on Loch Ness when every instrument on board started acting strange. Its sonar suddenly lit up. A large object was pacing the boat. Depth, nearly 500 feet. Size, unknown.
A team of scientists sweeping the depths of Loch Ness said tonight they'd made sonar contact with a large unidentified object.
But it was big. It was moving. And then it disappeared. Years later, in 1968, sonar expert Dr. D. Gordon Tucker dropped a net of sonar beams across the loch. For 2 straight weeks, targets, blips, shapes, moving at speeds way too fast for fish. Then came the biggest one yet, Operation Deep Scan, 1987. 24 boats formed a sweep line, scanning together. And deep down at nearly 600 feet, something pinged. Big echoes, moving, alive. Even MIT got involved in '72. Their sonar recorded something about 25 feet long with a possible flipper. And still, nothing visible, nothing confirmed. Every time the sonar found it, the beast vanished. Expert Craig Wallace called the 2020 returns clear, large, and distinct. But other scientists, particularly those with government funding, pushed back hard. Maybe it's a fish, maybe it's sonar drift, or maybe it's something certain people don't want confirmed. So here we are, decades of sonar, countless echoes, But no body, no proof.
The biggest search for the Loch Ness Monster in more than half a century is underway this weekend in Scotland.
Just one question still floating at the bottom of that loch. If it's not real, why does sonar keep seeing it? And if Nessie keeps dodging sonar in a tiny loch, imagine what could hide in an ocean so vast that a single sound could be heard across 3,000 miles. Number 15, the Bloop. Summer of 1997. Deep in the South Pacific, NOAA scientists were tracking underwater noise with hydrophones. Then, out of nowhere, it hit. A deep, rising roar. It climbed in pitch, lasted almost 60 seconds, and was heard across more than 3,000 miles of ocean. They called it the Bloop. And for 15 years, that name would haunt marine biologists who couldn't explain what they'd heard. But this wasn't some ordinary underwater noise. It sounded organic, powerful, big. And if it came from a living creature, it would have made a blue whale look tiny. The mystery caught fire. Forums, science blogs, even cryptozoologists jumped in. Was it a sea monster? Something hiding under the Antarctic shelf? A secret military project? For 8 years, NOAA kept the recordings classified. Then in 2005, after pressure from researchers who'd heard rumors, they finally expanded their audio surveillance across Antarctica. That's when it clicked. The Bloop's sound matched something else exactly: an ice quake. Glaciers were cracking apart and making underwater sonic booms. Dr. Robert Jack confirmed it. Same frequency, same patterns, same intensity. Mystery solved, or was it? Because even if it wasn't a beast, the Bloop reminded us of something haunting. We've only explored about 5% of the ocean floor. That 1-minute sound? It was a wake-up call from the deep. The Bloop proved the ocean could scream. But what happens when sonar finds something that was never meant to be found again? Number 14. Amelia Earhart's long-lost plane. Amelia Earhart vanished on July 2, 1937, somewhere near Howland Island. For nearly 90 years, people searched. But in late 2003, Tony Romeo, a former U.S. Air Force officer, said, "Let's go again." With $11 million, high-tech sonar, and a Hugin underwater drone, his team scanned over 5,000 square miles of ocean. Then it happened. A blurry sonar image. 16,000 feet down. A shape. 40 feet long. 65 feet wide. With wings. A tail. Everything matched her Lockheed Electra. Romeo said it felt like the most exciting thing I'll ever do. For a moment, the world thought the mystery had cracked open. But science doesn't move on feelings. By November 2024, high-res images revealed the truth. Just rock. A natural formation carved by ocean currents. No plane. No metal. No Amelia. Hope sank. Again. Still, that fleeting sonar shadow, just like the Bloop, left a mark. Because even when the answer is no, the search reminds us why we keep listening. Amelia's ghost proved elusive. But some things in the deep don't hide. They just wait for us to find them. Number 13. Magnapina Squid. In late 2023, rolling into early 2024, a deep-sea expedition team was surveying the Tonga Trench, one of the deepest cuts in Earth's crust. Sonar picked up a strange return at over 10,000 feet down. It was faint, but consistent. So they sent the ROV. What glided into frame wasn't just another squid. It was Magnapina, also known as the big fin squid. And this thing didn't swim. It haunted. It floated motionless, arms dangling like cables from a power line, long and spindly. Some of those arms stretched 20 feet or more, with elbow-like bends that seemed unnatural. As it hovered above the seafloor, the crew on board whispered, "It looks like it's walking in midair." Its body was pinkish red, fins broad and elegant, almost 90% of its total body length. And those arms? Thin as thread. Scientists believed they were covered in tiny suckers used to trap drifting prey. In another recording from the Great Australian Bight, it was seen doing the same elbow pose, arms bent sharply, held out like a fishing net, waiting. But then, just as fast as it appeared, it rose. No burst, no escape. Just a silent lift upward, out of frame. The sonar went quiet. Later, when they checked the depth readings, they realized something chilling. It had been watching them the entire time. The Magnapina haunted with its silence. This next creature, it performed. Number 12. Gulper Eel balloons. In September 2018, aboard the exploration ship Nautilus, scientists were scanning underwater seamounts in the vast dark of the Papahānaumokuākea Marine National Monument. That's almost a mile below sea level. Sonar pulsed through the black, bouncing off strange terrain. And then, the feed lit up. Something entered frame. At first, it looked like a drifting ribbon. Thin, slow-moving, maybe a fish, but then its jaw cracked open and its whole head inflated like a black water balloon. A perfect sphere, puffed with eerie silence. The crew gasped. Laughter, shock, awe, all at once. They had just spotted a gulper eel, also called a pelican eel. Scientific name, Eurypharynx pelicanoides. And that balloon trick? It wasn't just for show. Deep in the midnight zone, food was rare. So the gulper evolved to gulp. That inflatable jaw could snatch prey almost twice its own size. It even had an elastic throat and stomach that stretched like deep-sea rubber. Some scientists said it inflated to startle threats. Others said it was like setting a giant trap, open wide, float still, and let the unlucky swim in. After the performance, it shrank back down and glided away. Quiet, weightless, gone. The sonar returned to silence. But not all ocean sounds come from creatures. Some come from something else entirely. Number 11. The Quackers phenomenon. Cold War, 1960s to 80s. Soviet submarines cruising the Arctic and North Atlantic began picking up something bizarre on sonar, frog-like croaks. Quick, sharp quack sounds that seemed to circle the subs, then vanish. The crews named them Quackers. These weren't just noises, they moved, sometimes at speeds up to 200 kilometers an hour, faster than any submarine. Soviet sailors even tried responding with sonar. At times, the Quackers replied, or shifted pitch like they were listening. By the late 70s, the signals were popping up everywhere, from the Barents Sea to the North Atlantic. The Soviet Navy formed a special commission with their top scientists. For nearly a decade, they chased the source, but nothing added up. Some believed it was secret U.S. sonar tech. Others whispered about sea creatures, or worse, visitors from somewhere else. After the 80s, the sounds stopped, just like that. No farewell signal, no trace, gone. To this day, no one knows exactly what they were. The Soviet files on the Quackers remain classified, even after the Cold War ended. Whatever was in those reports, Russia still doesn't want it public. However, the Quackers went silent in the 80s, But there's one voice that's been calling for decades, and no creature on Earth can answer it. Number 10. The 52 Hertz Lonely Whale. 1989. Scientists at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution caught a new call on deep-sea hydrophones. It was a whale, but not like any they knew. This one sang at 52 hertz, too high for blue whales, too low for others. And it was alone. Every year, between August and December, the same signal would travel from Alaska down toward California. The whale followed a migration path, just without a companion. Scientists called it the world's loneliest whale. Was it sick? A hybrid? Deformed? No one knew. William Watkins tracked the sound for over a decade using the Navy's old SOSUS array. But when he passed in 2004, the whale slipped off radar until an intern spotted a familiar call years later. Hope flickered again. In 2010, 2 calls were recorded at the same time, both at 52 hertz. Could there be more than one? Maybe it was never lonely. But no one's ever seen it. Just a voice in the dark, heard and felt, but never found. And that voice might be the least disturbing thing we've detected down there. Number 9. Tic Tac's Undersea Shadow, mid-1990s. Off the coast of Puerto Rico, a U.S. Navy CH-53 helicopter hovered over the ocean, retrieving drone torpedoes. The pilot spotted the usual bobbing torpedo below, but then something else appeared. A dark shape surged up from the depths. Huge, silent, featureless. It hovered just below the waves, then sank back down without a sound. No radar ping, no camera capture, just a few stunned witnesses. Years later, during the infamous 2004 Tic Tac UFO incident near the USS Nimitz, the same pilot shared his story again. This time, others believed him. Commander David Fravor backed him up, describing a similar undersea shadow tied to the Tic Tac's flight path. Could it have been a USO, unidentified submersible object, moving seamlessly between sea and sky? And if so, how long has it been using our oceans as a highway? Rear Admiral Tim Galloda summed it up. It may have emerged from the sea. Whatever it was, it came without warning and vanished just as fast. But if these objects can move between air and sea undetected, how many times have they been watching us without our knowledge? Number 8. Ningan Winter, 2007. In the sub-Antarctic waters, a Japanese whale research vessel was scanning the deep. Their sonar pinged something massive, 2 to 3 times longer than a bus. Crew members leaned in. Then it glided into view. A pale, human-shaped figure drifting just below the surface. Some swore it had arms, legs, even a face. But before they could react, it disappeared. When cameras dropped, nothing was there, only silence. But the sonar recording remained, showing something that moved with purpose, something that knew exactly when to disappear. This thing became known online as Ningan, Japanese for human. First posted on forums like 2channel, it exploded into a digital myth. In November 2007, the magazine MU dubbed it Antarctic Humans. Scientists say it was probably a whale carcass, or an iceberg, or sonar distortion, but no one has ever confirmed it. Still, to those sailors, it felt alive. And that sonar ping frozen in the ship's logs, it's the only proof left of something that looked way too much like us, then vanished forever. But while some sonar contacts vanish because they choose to, Others do so because they have no choice. Number 7. ARA San Juan Submarine Hydroacoustic. On November 15, 2017, the Argentine Navy lost contact with the ARA San Juan, a diesel-electric submarine carrying 44 sailors. It vanished somewhere in the cold swells of the South Atlantic. Panic spread. Hours later, thousands of miles away in Vienna, a quiet organization, the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, noticed something. Their underwater monitoring system, designed to catch atomic detonations, recorded an acoustic event. 1351 UTC, a sharp, violent burst deep in the ocean. They called it a hydroacoustic anomaly. It didn't match whale calls or shifting currents. It sounded explosive, short, brutal, and its location, chillingly close to the submarine's last known position. Argentina confirmed it days later. Experts believe the sub may have suffered a catastrophic implosion under pressure, crushed by the sea itself. But finding it wasn't easy. Over 13 countries joined the search. Planes, ships, submersibles, they scanned over 500,000 square kilometers. The sonar played a cruel game. False returns, animal noises, empty echoes. An entire year passed. Then, in November 2018, a private company, Ocean Infinity, found the wreckage, 900 meters deep, scattered over 8,000 square meters. The hull torn apart. No survivors, just a single underwater sound that told the story before anyone else could. The San Juan's sound was a death cry. But in 1978, sonar caught something very much alive and hostile. Number 6. The USS Stein Monster. In 1978, the USS Stein, a Knox-class frigate, was patrolling the Pacific, likely near the equator, west of Central America. It was fitted with one of the Navy's most powerful sonar systems, the ANSQS-26. But something went wrong. Sudden static. System failure. The sonar went down. Back at Long Beach Naval Shipyard, technicians examined the massive sonar dome, a rubber-coated housing that protects the sonar below the hull. What they found was jaw-dropping. More than 8% of the dome's surface was torn up, deep slashes and punctures. Some cuts were 4 feet long. Embedded inside, curved hooks, dozens of them. They weren't machine parts. They weren't barnacles. These were organic, squid arm hooks. But unlike any squid known to science, marine biologist Forrest G. Wood examined the damage. He confirmed these hooks came from a cephalopod, possibly a squid, but much, much larger than anything officially recorded. Biophysicist C. Scott Johnson added that the size and pressure needed to inflict that kind of damage suggested a squid over 150 feet long. The Navy's official report called it contact with an unknown biological entity. Off the record, sailors had a different name for it, the thing that attacked us. But the creature was never seen again. No footage, no capture. Just a battle-scarred sonar dome and a legend that grew into whispers of the USS Stein Monster. A deep-sea enigma that left physical proof, 8-inch claw marks on military-grade steel. But here's what should terrify you. If this creature was just curious, what happens when one gets angry? Number 5. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. In June 2011, a team of Swedish treasure hunters, Ocean X, sailed into the Gulf of Bothnia. They were scanning the seabed for shipwrecks when something showed up on sonar. A circle, 60 meters wide, flat top, sharp edges. with a tail-like streak running almost 300 meters behind it. On screen, it looked like the Millennium Falcon had crash-landed under the Baltic Sea. Things got weirder. During their return in 2012, gear started failing. Lights, cameras, satellite phones, dead. Move away, everything powered back up, every single time. As if something down there was generating a field that didn't want to be photographed. Peter Lindbergh said, "It has stair formations. If it's constructed, it had to be before the Ice Age." They collected samples, granite, basalt, sandstone, common stuff. Experts like Volker Bruckert from Stockholm University called it natural, a glacial deposit, maybe a drumlin, a leftover from melting ice. Still, the low-res sonar image kept people talking. UFO theories, Nazi tech, ancient temples. But the real anomaly? Whatever's down there is still shutting down equipment, and Ocean X never went back to find out why. But while the Baltic Anomaly has sat silent in the Arctic, something was actively broadcasting. Number 4. The Arctic Ping Mystery. In the summer of 2016, hunters in Nunavut's Fury and Hecla Strait noticed something chilling. The animals were gone. No seals, no whales, no walruses. And under the waves, a strange ping pulsed from the seafloor. Rhythmic, mechanical, eerie. Paul Quassa, a Nunavut official, said, "This time around, there were hardly any animals, and this became a suspicious thing." The Canadian military responded fast. Too fast, some said. Operation Limpid launched within days. For a sound that supposedly didn't exist, they sure sent a lot of hardware to find it. Aircraft swept the region with acoustic sensors. The official report? Nothing. No unusual sound, but locals still insist they heard it. And curiously, the military's acoustic data from that period remains classified. Rumors ignited. Was it mining companies, Greenpeace, secret tests? Everyone denied involvement. No sonar permits, no activity, just that ping. Experts suggested shifting sea ice, rubbing and grinding on the seafloor. But no one ever captured the sound on tape. No public recordings. No clear answers. And then, just like that, it stopped. The animals came back. The waters went quiet. Whatever had been speaking through the Arctic's frozen deep, it said what it needed to say, and vanished without a trace. And while Arctic ping drove animals away, this next ping drew the whole world in, with false hope. Number 3. MH370, Ping and Acoustic Mystery. In April 2014, the deepest sonar search in aviation history began. Mission: locate Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. It had vanished weeks earlier, and now every ship in the southern Indian Ocean was dragging their ears across the seabed. The Ocean Shield, an Australian Navy vessel, towed a pinger locator. The goal? Catch the black box signal, 37.5 kilohertz, 1 ping per second. Between April 6th and 8th, 2 ships, Ocean Shield and Hehearts 01, detected faint signals, just minutes apart, 2 kilometers apart, weak but real. On April 8th, the ping lasted over 2 hours, then another for 13 minutes. The location? 3,000 meters deep. But the excitement faded. Experts at the Australian Joint Acoustic Analysis Centre reviewed the data. Verdict? It wasn't a match. The frequency was off. The signature didn't line up with black box beacons. It could have been the towed equipment itself. Could have been marine noise. Could have been hope. Bluefin 21, an autonomous underwater vehicle, scanned 860 square kilometers. 30 missions. 0 wreckage, 0 pings. The signals faded. The ocean swallowed its secrets again. The ocean may keep its secrets well, but what about the mysteries hiding in our own backyards? Number 2. Lake Michigan craters. In 2022, off Sheboygan, Wisconsin, researchers from the Wisconsin Shipwreck Coast National Marine Sanctuary began scanning the floor of Lake Michigan. Then the sonar pings hit. Crater after crater. Perfect circles, each up to 300 meters wide and 40 feet deep. Some lined up, some scattered like cosmic debris fields. No shipwrecks, no trash, just holes in the earth, untouched. In August 2022, the team returned with a remotely operated vehicle. What they found was surreal. More than 40 massive round depressions, each cold, dark, and alive with shrimp, sculpins, mussels, and odd bacterial mats. Were they sinkholes? Some said yes. The lake sat on limestone, and Lake Huron had similar formations. Others noticed the craters were too perfect, too uniform, as if something had been taking samples from below. Whatever carved those scars into Michigan's lakebed didn't leave a note. Just silence and questions. But sometimes the most unsettling discoveries aren't what we know. It is the beautiful ones. Number 1. Translucent deep Staria jelly. In September 2019, deep below the Pacific near Baker and Howland Islands, scientists aboard the Nautilus were running a deep-sea expedition. Sonar hit something slow, soft, spreading. The ROV Hercules dove to investigate. What they found drifting at around 900 meters wasn't just bizarre, it was beautiful. A deep Staria enigmatica jellyfish. No tentacles, no stingers, just a massive, bag-like bell that opened and folded like a ghost breathing underwater. The jelly's shape changed constantly, sometimes a dome, other times a rippling disc, like an alien parachute caught in deep-sea wind. And inside it, something unexpected. A glowing red isopod, a crustacean, maybe 8 centimeters long, tucked neatly inside the jelly's translucent veil. Was it a parasite? A hitchhiker? A stowaway that found shelter in a jellyfish mansion? Scientists debated. Some said mutualism. Some called it a deep-sea ambush. But one researcher posed a darker question. What if the isopod wasn't a passenger, but a pilot? The jelly's body was clear enough to see its inner network, stomach canals, vein-like branches, almost like nerves. It floated, billowed, twisted in slow motion. Then the ROV lights moved, and it vanished. Not a single ripple, not a flash, just gone. Sonar faded. The team sat in quiet awe. So what do you believe? Malfunction or mystery? Creature or coincidence? How many of these sonar pings were science, and how many were something else entirely? Could the next unexplained blip change everything we thought we knew about the deep? Hit subscribe, because the ocean's not done talking. And drop your thoughts below. What do you think we've really been hearing all this time?